I thought it was really interesting. You started your career with your directorial career with Earth to Echo, which had an alien in our world. You did the TMNT sequel, which had performance capture and CGI, and now this film's hybrid of live action and animation. What really draws you to this mix of worlds and mixing effects with live action? Because it's all throughout your work. I thought that was a cool through line.
Uh, Thanks for pointing that out. I mean, I don't know. I grew up watching movies that were a bit, elevated in kind of like in the blending of worlds. Like Ghostbusters was one of my favorite movies when I was a kid. Beetlejuice was one of my favorite movies as well. And these are movies that you wouldn't call them hybrid movies by any means, but they dealt with things that were impossible in our world, or they dealt with our world and they twisted our world. So I think and that's just something that only movies can do. So yeah, I would say like when I was growing up, I was making also like short films that were, they were horror comedies and they were kind of, yeah, they were funny and they were scary and they were treating violence in a funny way. And I would say in the through line of those through three movies you mentioned, it just happened to be that they're all hybrid movies, and but I would say that they're very different in also approach, because Earth to Echo involves this, a puppet that we shot on set, and then a CG character that was, 3D animated. And then Ninja Turtles was really shot like a live action movie that was all mocap. And Coyote was a completely different process than both of those movies, because Wiley doesn't exist. He can't be played by a human, in a suit on set. So it's really like learning something new on each go that I find to be like part of the challenge and part of the thrill of making a movie. So I don't know. I guess I'm shooting two characters in a room next time might be the right way of having fun, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. You mentioned in your shorts you're making violence funny, and nothing gets violence funny quite like Looney Tunes. And you get to do some classic Coyote versus Roadrunner scenes here. How joyous was it getting to iterate on this real staple of pop culture and putting your own spin on these cartoon scenes that we all grew up with, where poor Coyote's just getting, blown to bits and taking a lot of damage.
Um, it was a thrill, and it was an honor and a thrill, and definitely intimidating at first, because we have like a legacy to protect here. These characters are, you know, my grandparents were watching these characters when, in their day, and my parents were as well. So like the challenge was like doing it right, and yeah, rising to the task of doing it right. But yeah, just like you're saying, Wiley is one of the funniest physical comedians of all time. Like we looked at, of course, the original Chuck Jones shorts, and also Buster Keaton, and and then characters like Wile E, oddly, because he doesn't talk. And like so we looked at, expression sets and like ways of verbalizing when you can't or don't speak. And so all those things were challenges, but also crazy fun. And yeah, I just say like Wiley is he's just one of the funniest physical comedians ever. And so it was like it was an honor to get to play in that sandbox at all. Yeah.
A good film really sticks with you, and I've just been giggling since I've seen the film. I just think about certain scenes, and I can't wait to rewatch it because it seems like it's littered with small gags and small touches in the background. Can you speak to taking advantage of the cartoon characters? Because you could just mess with scenes and add in these little animation jokes all throughout the film that, people are going to miss a lot of them, but that gives them such an incentive to rewatch. So how was it having fun with that?
It was super fun. I mean, the movie began as a, we were designing the movie in COVID over Zoom with a team of animators, and we call them sketch viz artists, who were drawing 2D illustrations on top of previs that we had done to represent the human actors that were going to be on set. And so this was really like a proof of concept, a way of showing the studio this is how the movie's going to be layered. Like, this is what's live action and this is what's cartoon. And in that process, that was like draft, one of what would be 100 drafts of the same shot or moment or scene. We would later then go shoot that scene with a puppeteer on set who would show the actors, this is what Wiley's doing, and these are Wiley's actions. And then we take that back to SketchViz after we've shot. And so, like, what you're seeing in the final result is really like a layering of animators really like looking at what was there before and either preserving what made it work or intending to just punch it up and make it better. And then in the last, like, I would say 2 months of making the movie, we just had a really fun pass where we were like, okay, final jokes basically in animation. And then we went through with a couple writers that we're friends with, and they just wrote jokes for like, okay, well, what about in this moment, in between these two moments, what if you fit this? And one of them, one of my favorites is like the spider that crawls over the sign that says "Scary Road Drive." That used to have no animation on it, and so my friend Zach Bornstein was like, "Well, what if we wrote this gag with the spider who's like gonna get mugged by another spider?" And it's weirdly like one of the bigger laughs in the movie, but that was like a late in game animation plus up that was added. That was
Yeah, those little touches really show this was a labor of love by all involved. And two of my favorite bits were related to the music. You have a really fun edit of a DJ's Shadow and Run the Jewels song where you're using Looney Tunes sound effects to cover up the expletives. And then you have a choir and they're singing the Roadrunners Meep Meeps, which are really easy to miss. And once I heard that, like, I was just losing it. Can you speak to making sure that kind of Looney Tunes ethos was kind of felt in every aspect of the film? Because I think that gives it such a character, and like you weren't afraid to embrace like the inherent goofiness of this world, and I think that's really why it stands out.
Thank you so much. I mean, we had a team that really wanted to embrace stupid in the best possible way. So the choir that Meeps, that idea came from Stephen Price, composer. One day he was just like, you know, what if we were able to get in Wiley's mind? So like anytime he's obsessing about the Roadrunner, we are meeping. And I just thought that was totally brilliant. And so we had an entire choir of, they're called the London Voices. They are a choir that perform on score records all the time. And yeah, they were meeping for an entire day. It was hilarious. And there was an argument, by the way, that we settled in the recording session on whether it was meep or beep. We do know that factually it is beep.
Oh
Um,
no,
it is
I've been
beep,
wrong for all
but
these years.
well, the choir did a vote, and the choir, we said, well, what do you think the Roadrunner says? Everyone except for one person said it's meep, but it's technically beep, but it's okay because sometimes it sounds like meep, but it is spelled beep in the movie. So I think we've gotten away with it. We'll see. Um, and yeah, and then the song drop. That's just, again, it's from our clever our clever members of our team who were just knowing what this movie was, knowing the sense of humor of the movie and just bringing ideas. And I think our music editor Connor Hughes cut that up one day, or Bradley Farmer. They cut it up and added the meeps, and we were just laughing so hard. So I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. My last question for you, I was just curious. I saw you worked on Spider-Man 2 and 3 as a production assistant. What were the lessons that you really learned being on a Sam Raimi set? Because I imagine that had to have been incredible as a young person with filmmaking aspirations.
I mean, Sam is incredible. He's so fun to be around and to watch. And Sam's process is really he he focuses so much on prep, and that really taught me everything. He uses, a huge team of storyboard and um, you know, animatic and previs guys, and they really workshop every single scene so many times and ideate and iterate on those passes of the scenes over and over and over, and until everyone in the room is laughing and loving it. And he's cutting those scenes together and he's watching them with sound. And then he's really kind of in the tradition of Hitchcock, taking that guide to set, and he is really shooting precisely what he planned. So that was hugely educational for me, and it's really informed the way I like to work too. But yeah, Sam is incredible. Also, like, and so fast on his toes and so funny and witty, and is great with talent, and really, yeah, he's one of my favorite filmmakers easily, and I've learned a ton from him.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Dave, thank you so much for your time and congrats on this
Thank you,
movie. I'm so
Tyler.
glad it's out here and
Right
everybody can
on.
see it.